Welcome to Wilderness Tips with Justin Barbour. So this week's tip is getting a campfire going. Recently it's rained, so we have some wet wood, wet materials to work with. It'll be a bit of a challenge, but it'll be worth it. It takes time, it takes a little bit of patience, but here we go. I'm carrying a little pocket saw, just can slip out of my pocket very easily like this. It's a folding saw. I have to identify some wood that's dry. Most of the materials that I typically use, some old man's beard, some spruce twigs, even birch bark is a little bit wet. So I'm going to take this wooden stick here, this dry stick. I can tell by knocking it. This is solid wood, it's dry on the inside, it's dead. There's no green boughs on it, you want a dead stick of wood. First thing is to cut it down, of course. Okay, so we have our stick. Now I'm going to have to cut it up into little chunks. As we can tell, nice and dry on the inside, that's unaffected by the rain. That's what we're looking to get to. In a minute I'll split that up and we'll get some nice dry shavings. So I'll chunk up at least 4 or 5 of these to get me going. Some of these I'll use as the base of the fire. That's a very convenient saw, weighs next to nothing. So now it's time to get the axe. I'm going to split some of these up. We'll get access to some dry wood on the inside. This is a lightweight Fisker's axe from Canadian Tire. Important for any axe, no matter what you have, is to have a protective sheath. Keep the blade well covered so it doesn't cut you or anything in your pack when you're carrying it. Take it off. Lay it aside, somewhere where you're not going to lose it. So to use the axe to safely split firewood, I lay my junk of wood here on a nice log that's going to support me as I'm splitting. Keys to keep a wide stance. So if you miss when you swing, the axe doesn't follow through and hit you in the shin or the leg. So I'll keep my stance wide. I'll make sure the log is firm on this other log on the ground, and I'll take a swing. And we're just going to make a wide stance and strike it in the middle. Here we go. So on the inside here, we can see some nice dry wood. That's what we use for our fire. No matter how bad the flies are, you can't rush it. If you do, you'll have a hard time getting your fire going. You want some fine splits like this. It'll be easier to get some dry shavings that I'll use to make with my knife. Nice to keep your sticks up off the ground a little bit here, to keep them from getting wet, of course, because you want them to stay dry. So here I've processed some good dry splits, make some shavings with my knife from them, and we'll get the fire going even though everything is pretty wet around here. So I'm going to take 4 or 5 of these small logs, I'll lay them down on the ground. That will be the base for the fire. Now I need to make some shavings. I have my knife. I'm going to take some of these splits, get that dry portion, and make some shavings. Just hold the stick in my hand, slide the knife down. This is called a feather stick. Feathery shavings, they'll take a match easily. The more shavings you got, the better chance you have of getting your fire going. So the pile's getting bigger. Just taking my time, patience is key. Once you rush, you're minimizing your chances of getting your fire going. Okay, now we're gonna get the fire going. We have enough dry shavings here in the pile. So just got some matches in a waterproof case. Doesn't matter what happens, they're gonna stay dry. So take out a match, 1 strike. Stick your match in underneath the shavings. Take your time with it, be patient. As the flames spread, start adding on some bigger sticks. A nice fire will help keep animals out of your campsite, keep the flies away. The bigger sticks you can just lay off to the side. You don't want to smother the fire. They'll slowly catch as the flames spread around. You can add a few more shavings on top just to be sure. So you don't die on you. Survival food. To keep some flies away, you could take a little bit of wet moss and lay it on top to create some smoke. So there you have it. That's how you start fire in wet conditions.